So my name is Travis Marc. I'm in a band called Deep Sleep Atlantic. I was born in Johannesburg, South Africa. And then when I was in my late teens, I was in a band. We got signed and we were kind of shipped off to London, England. Mm-hmm. And it's a super long story, but then I ended up spending the next 16 years or so in England. So now I've got this accent that's partly South African. I still think it's fully South African. Mm-hmm. But since moving to America, a lot of people seem to think that I'm British or Australian.
I think we kind of botch it all together because we're unfamiliar.
yeah, something like that. And so I consider myself to be at where I'm at in my life now. I spent almost the exact amount of time in South Africa as what I did in England. Mm-hmm. And I have citizenship in both. And now I've been in America for 3 years, and I plan on staying put, provided the government allows me to. And so I've had quite an interesting life. It's like I often joke with my wife that it's almost like I've had 3 chapters.
Sure.
And I'm busy writing this one, but there's things about the first chapter that unless you were there, you would never quite understand. Mm-hmm. And then there's things about the second chapter that the people from the first chapter or the third wouldn't understand. And it's and I don't mean that in a condescending way. I just mean it's funny because when you're in these different places, there's different cultures. Sure. And there's different foods, and there's different slangs, and there's different music. And so it's interesting because when I talk to people that I know from Johannesburg, I can instantly switch and I find myself saying words I haven't said in years. And then when I talk to people from London, they don't understand those words. So I have to go with the slang that was hot at the time then if we're using those kinds of words. And then down here, it's even just some of the silliest things aren't the same things. Mm-hmm. So it's even just having an American wife. And sometimes we'll be talking and she'll say something. I'll be like, what are you talking about? Are you talking about this? And she'll be like, no, I'm talking about that. I'm like, that's not what that is. Or vice versa. Yeah. So long answer, short question, but that's the gist of it.
Yeah. How much time did you spend in Johannesburg?
The first 19 years of my life.
Big chunk.
Yeah. I was born and raised. Mm-hmm. Born and raised, and started playing in bands when I was a kid. And 1 or 2 of those bands had done a bit of traveling and touring and stuff. So I had gone other places, but never a move. Mm-hmm. And the move was brought on by, I was in a band that was doing very well. We got signed to a little independent label. And with that came all these elements that hadn't been part of, we were just kids. Mm-hmm. We were just kids trying to rock and roll,
Sure.
And so the thing that I think people maybe know better now as young musicians versus what we knew as young musicians was we were just kids that wanted to rock. And so you were lucky if you had a website because Facebook and all that stuff didn't exist.
Sure.
So if you had a website, you were doing well, And we would make posters and flyers and we'd go to wherever the hot spots and we'd hand out our flyers and stuff like that. And when we got that deal, we had started making an album, which that's a whole nother story. But suddenly we had industry people interested. And so with that came management and publishing and all these things that we didn't even know what any of it was about. And listen, we did some stupid things. I have zero to say about it because we were kids.
Sure.
So in hindsight, as you get older, you kind of go, we really could have handled situation A a little bit better.
Yeah.
Or maybe had we utilized situation B a little bit better. But I don't really regret any of it. I mean, it's brought me to where I am now.
It's a necessary evil, I think.
Very much so.
Especially if you plan to learn anything, get anything out of life, you got to be shown the hard way sometimes.
Yeah, and I mean, you would know and be able to attest to the fact that some people don't seem to learn. And I'm not saying I've learned everything. I still have a billion things to learn. But But I've got some people that I know, they seem to be stuck in these negative loops. And listen, that's very easy to say, like you can get out of it. I've been in them myself. It's like they're not easy things to get out of. You get down, life gets hard, etc., etc. But I find that some people, I don't know, they don't seem to, maybe that's not the correct wording. Some people don't seem to want to leave that loop, and it's easier to complain within the loop.
I think when you're familiar, a lot of times it gets comfortable, and the unknown is kind of a threat.
Yeah,
you know.
Think so.
And but I also think stagnation is death. You know, you got to keep moving and learning and changing. You know. In your household as a child, what kind of music was being played? Were your parents big music fans?
Massive music fans. And again, you know, I didn't realize, but like my mom would always have the radio on. Always. That thing was on every single day from the moment I woke up till the moment I went to bed, or at least till the moment we sat down to have dinner kind of thing. Away from that, I remember she would always play things like Carole King. Her and my dad were both massive Beatles, Creedence Clearwater Revival, Rolling Stones fans. There were a couple other nuggets that were there, but just constant music, you know? Even like some of my youngest memories, I remember like, I can't quite remember the years and stuff like that, but I remember being in like my mom's car. She was driving, obviously, but we'd have the radio on and like you just sing at the top of your lungs, and just music was always on.
Yeah.
And then I don't know who it was that showed me how the record player worked for the vinyls now. Yeah. You know, but I don't remember if it was my mom or my dad or if I just figured that out, but they had quite a hefty record collection.
Really?
Yeah, very much so. Which is interesting because I don't remember them playing records. I remember the radio on all the time. Like we're talking hi-fi systems, right? So this massive system, stack unit, right? Like a 5 CD changer, a record player, double cassette, AM, FM, probably not much more than that, but they were hefty things. And I remember finding this record collection in the little wall unit that the thing was in. And I was like, what is this? I was instantly drawn to the art and the covers and stuff like that. And my dad had these really cool, I remember them so well. I don't remember the model, but he had these really cool biodynamic, like over-ear closed headphones. These things, now that I know about gear and music and stuff, these things are still like industry standards. So they must have loved music, because you wouldn't buy headphones like that if you were just like a
casual listener, you know? Right?
And I found these things, and I found the record collection, and somehow, whether they showed me or whether I figured it out for myself, I figured out how the record player worked. And I'm talking, I must have been around 8-9 years old. Okay?
Yeah, I was going to ask when this is occurring, because some of the artists that you mentioned that they were fans of were like, in their heyday was like late 60s, maybe early 70s. So this is like in the 80s for me. I'm or late 80s, early 90s. So I'm like 8-9 years old. And dude, I discovered the Police. That was it. Between the Police and me naturally being drawn at that age, I guess as anybody at that age would be, to pop culture, and Michael Jackson just being this icon of a figure. You couldn't turn on the TV without seeing him. You couldn't not hear him on the radio. I was hooked, dude. Between the Police records my parents had, I didn't even care about any of the others after that. They had all the Police records. And I was like, what is this? And still to this day, massive Police fan, massive Michael Jackson fan. I know there's the personal stuff, but I'm talking about the music. And then, you know, I would just sit at that record player for hours. I even remember falling asleep many nights. Or days. You know, it's blurry. I can't remember the exact details, but I remember just listening. You know, that's a common thread in a lot of people that I talk to, is the discovery of a music collection in any form, really. Sometimes it comes with, we'll say, the mentorship of an older neighbor or a big brother or their parents' collection or something. But
at any rate, it's an introduction to usually a decade or two of music that came before the person discovering it, so it's all brand new to them, and it hits them. You know, I guess it resonates with people that are already musically inclined or interested in the first place, but it's something unto itself, and it's something that you can spend time with and kind of interact with on your own, you know. And it kind of inspires people and kind of helps give them an identity and things of that nature. So that's awesome, man.